Hello friends, welcome to Learner's Planet. Friends, this is our second session for the topic averages. In the previous session we discussed some problems, some basic problems based on averages. In this session we are going to discuss some more problems. So just get ready with your paper and pen and start solving the problems right with me. Now see this question. If the average marks of three batches of 55, 60 and 45 students is respectively 50, 55 and 60, then the average marks of all the students is. The regular method is what? What you'll be doing? 55 into 50, that will be the total of first batch, 60 into 55, total of the second batch, and 45 into 60, total of the third batch, then divided by total number of students, that is 160. That is 55 plus 60 plus 45, that is 160. Okay, so that will give you the average marks of all the subjects. Apart from that, once again we can go for the standard the deviation method. I assume the average is 50, right? Now for these 55 students, the average is 50, so deviation is 0. For 60 students, the average is 55, so the total deviation will be 5 into 60 students, so that is 300, right? Assumed is 50, deviation is plus 5 of 60 students, so that is 5 into 60, 300. Similarly, deviation is 10 of 45 students, so it is 450, divided by average deviation, so that is 160. Okay, so 0, 0, 0, 45 plus 30, that is 75 by 16. So 75 by 16 is 4, 16 into 4, 64, 11 by 16. So 50 plus 4 plus 11 by 16, that is 54, 11 by 16. So 54 point something, so 54.68 will be the correct choice. Okay, so this way the problem becomes very simple. If you write 55 into 50 plus 60 into 55 plus 45 into 60 divided by 160, it becomes a tedious calculation, and if we compare this with this, it becomes very simple calculation. Okay, so just practice the deviation method in a very well manner. Since we got the positive value over here, that's why we are adding it to the assumed average. Okay. Now the average weight of 16 boys in a class is this, and that of the remaining 8 boys is this. Find the average weight of all the boys in the class. So once again we can go for the deviation method. I assume the average to be 50, right? So 16 boys, the total will exceed 16 into 0.25. 16 into 0.25, that means 1/4 of the 16, that is plus 4. So deviation of this is 4, and deviation of this 45.15, and 50 minus 45.15 is 4.85, right? So deviation of this is 4.85 into 8. Okay, so this is the total deviation divided by total number of students, so that is 16 plus 8, 24. I'm sorry, this is actually negative. Okay, because 45.15 is less than 50, so that is a negative deviation. Now to make this calculation even simpler, what we can do is we can divide the individual data. So 4 by 24 is 1 by 6 minus 4.85 divided by 3, and this is actually around 1.6. So 1 by 6 is actually 0.16. So 0.16 minus 1.6, that will give us minus 1.44. So the average will be 50 minus 1.44. So we can say 50 minus 2 is 48 point something 56. So 48.55. Right? Pretty simple. Or alternatively, 16 into 50.25 plus 8 into 45.15 divided by 24. This will be your answer. Okay, so to shorten we did this method, we use this method. Okay, now the average of 6 numbers is x and the average of 3 of these is y. If the average of remaining 3 is z, then what? Okay, so average of 6 numbers is x, that means the total must be 6x, right? Average of 3 numbers is y, that means the total of these 3 numbers is 3y. Average of the remaining 3 is z, that means the total of these remaining 3 numbers is 3z. Now this is the total of first 3 numbers, this is the total of next 3 numbers, so this plus this is the total of the all 6 numbers, and total of all 6 numbers is this. So 6x is equal to 3y plus 3z. So what we can say is y plus z is equal to 2x. Okay, pretty simple. Now average of 50 numbers is 30. If two numbers 35 and 40 are discarded, then the average of the remaining numbers is nearly. Okay, so the total of 50 numbers is 50 into 30, 1500. Now we are discarding two numbers, that is 35 and 40, so the total we are discarding is 75. Now if two numbers are being discarded, then the remaining numbers will be 48. Okay, so the new average will be 1425 by 48. Okay, so instead of 475, if it had been 480, then directly it will be 30. So it bit less than 30, so it's 29.68. Okay, and if you are not able to calculate, you are confused between these two, so what you can do is 30 minus 5 by 16, and 5 by 16 is around 1 by 3, around 1 by 3. So from 30, if you deduct 1 by 3, 1 by 3 is around 0.33, so you will be getting 29.68 directly, 68 or 67. Okay, so do not get confused, it's the calculation is not that difficult. I hope you are getting it. Let's see this question. The average of 5 numbers is 27. If one number is excluded, the average becomes 25. What is the excluded number? Now once again the problem is very simple. The average of 5 numbers is 27, so the total will be 27 into 5, and we are excluding one number, that is, suppose it is x. Now this is the total of the 5 numbers, that is this entire is the total of the remaining numbers, and if I divide this entire total by 4, I'll be getting the average of the remaining 4 numbers, and that is given to us as 25, right? So x will be 27 into 5 minus 100, or we can say 20 into 5. So 27 minus 20, that's 7 into 5, 35 is the number that was excluded. Okay, so this is the very regular method. What you can do is just listen to me carefully. In that case, you don't have to touch your paper and pen. Now average of 5 numbers is 27, right? Now you are excluding one number, and now the average becomes 25, right? Now what is happening now? The average of remaining 4 numbers is 25, right? That means 4 number and difference in average is 2. That means in all there is a loss of 8, right? 4 into 2, there is a loss of 8, right? That means the excluded number was 27 plus 8, obviously. Okay, so 27 plus 8 is 35. So precisely what is happening over here, this loss, that is 4 into 8, 4 into 2 is equal to 8, is because of the exclusion of one number, right? So initially the average was 27. Now when you exclude this particular number, the average goes down to 25, right? So basically because of exclusion of this number, the average is getting down. That means this number is carrying 8 more, the excluded number is carrying the value that is 8 more than 27, right? So just listen to the explanation once again if it is not clear for the first time. If you are clear with the logic, it will be very easy for you to solve these problems without even paperwork, right? I just explain it once again. Initially the average of 5 numbers is 27. After exclusion of one number, the average becomes 25. That means the average of remaining 4 numbers is 25, right? Now there is a loss of average this 2, right? That means in all the total loss is, for each number there is a loss of 2, so for the total 4 numbers the loss will be 8, right? And that 8 is lost due to exclusion of one number, right? So this 8 will be added to the initial average to get the exact value of the excluded number. So 27 plus 8, that's 35. Okay, now we see this problem. The average age of 35 students in a class is 16 years. The average age of 21 students is 14. What is the average age of the remaining 14 students? Friends, here I would like to discuss one more concept, that is the deviation concept. Though we have already discussed, but when we see this sort of problem, so deviation concept is a bit different over here. Right, so just listen to me carefully. I just put up one example before you. Suppose I have 5 data, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Right, now obviously the average of these 5 datas will must be 3. Okay, now the concept is sum of deviation is equal to 0. That's really important, right? Deviation from the average, or we can say from mean, right? So sum of deviations should be equal to 0. Now how it is 0, we can see just it practically. It is minus 2, it is minus 1, it is 0, it is plus 1 and it is plus 2. So this and this. This is minus 1, this is minus 2, this is plus 1, this is plus 2, right? So if you add all the deviations, you'll be getting 0, right? So deviation from mean, sum of deviation from mean is always 0. That's the important concept over here. Okay, now how we are going to use this concept to solve this sort of problems? Just listen to me carefully. Now one more thing is there. Just now we discussed the sum of deviations is equal to 0 and we took the example of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now these are the numbers and I assume this to be x and this is their frequency. If 1 is appearing for say 2 times, 2 is appearing for say 5 times, 3 is appearing for say maybe 4 times, 4 is appearing for say 3 times and 5 is appearing say for say 6 times. Okay, then what will be the mean? Now 1 is appearing for 2 times, that means the total is 2. 2 is appearing for 5 times, that means the total is 10. 3 is appearing for 4 times, that means the total is 12. 4 is appearing for 3 times, that means the total is 12. 5 is appearing for 6 times, that means the total is 30. Okay, now the total sum will be what? 30 plus 12 plus 12 plus 10 plus 2. 30, 40, 50, 60. So the total is 66. And how many data are there? Frequency of 1 is 2, that means 1 is coming for 2 times. So how many data are there? How many ones are there? 2 ones, 5 twos, 4 threes, 3 fours and 6 fives. So how many data are there? 5 plus 2 7 plus 4 11 and 3 14 plus 6 20. Okay, so average is, or we can say mean is total by frequency, right? So this is the mean, or we can say average of all these data, right? This is actually 1 1, then 2 2 2 2 2, 3 3 3 3 4 4 4 5 5 5 5 5 5, and we have to find the average of all these numbers. So that is actually 3.3. Okay, so this concept we have learned in our grade 9 or grade 10. So this is actually a very simple concept, how to find mean when some frequency of the data is there, right? So frequency of data is more than 1, right? 1 is coming for 2 times, 2 is coming for 5 times, 3 is coming for 4 times, 4 is coming for 3 times, and 5 is coming for 6 times, right? I'm just giving you the generalized example over here. Now in this case also the sum of deviations will be 0. You can see sum of deviations is 0, right? Now we know that the mean is actually 3.3, right? So 1 is minus 2.3 and 1 is appearing for 2 times. So total deviation is minus 2.3 into 2. That's really important. We have to calculate the total deviation, right? 1 is 2.3 less and 1 is coming for 2 times. So total deviation is minus 2.3 into 2. Similarly, this is 2 and 3.3, so it is minus 1.3, and 2 is coming for 5 times. So total deviation is this, right? 3 and 0.3, so here it is 0.3 less and total deviation will be into 4. Then here 4, so that is deviation is now positive and positive 0.7, and frequency is 3. Okay, plus it is 1.7 into 6, right? If you add all this, if you calculate this expression, you'll be getting 0, right? Sum of deviations is always 0, and this funda we are going to use to solve the problems. Good number of problems you'll be able to solve if you learn this concept. Here I have taken a very big example, a very theoretical example, but when we do the problems practically, it will not take more than 30 to 40 seconds to solve a problem based on averages. Okay, so just concentrate, just listen to me carefully. How do I solve the problems? By the method of deviation. Okay, so let's solve this problem first of all. Now let's solve this problem with this concept, using this deviation concept. Now listen to me carefully. The average age of 35 students is in a class is 16 years. So mean, that is mean value, or we can say average, is 16. The average age of 21 student is 14. What is the average age of remaining 14 students? Now we see the deviation and we'll be getting the sum of deviations, right? And that should be 0. Okay. Average age of 21 student is 14. This is the overall average and this is the average of 21 student, right? So deviation is what? 16 and this is 14. So deviation is minus 2. Right, it is 2 less than the average, right? So it is minus 2 is the deviation and number of students is 21. So overall deviation is minus 2 into 21, right? Plus we assume the average age of these 14 students to be x, right? The average age of these 14 students to be x. So deviation will be what? X minus 16. Okay, deviation will be x minus 16, and how many students are there? 14, right? And that should be equal to 0. So it is minus 42, it will go this side, so it will be 42, it is 3, so x is equal to 19, right? What concept we have used? Just sum of deviation is 0. From mean. Okay, apart from that, what you can do is, this is the first thing, this is the second thing. The deviation for of the first group of the student, that 21 student, is minus 2. So minus 2 into 21. Now in the next is, in this case, what we assume in the of the deviation of these 14 students is suppose y, right? Here I'm taking the average age as x. Now I'm taking the deviation as y, right? So deviation of one student is y, so total deviation will be 14y, right? Y is deviation, not average but deviation, right? So sum of deviations will be 0. So 14 y is equal to 42, that means y is equal to 3. Now we are getting positive value, that means y, the deviation is positive, that means the deviation is positive, so it's 19. Okay, so you can go this way or this way. In this case we are taking the average age, so we are putting deviation over here. In this case we are directly taking the deviation. Initially you will find it difficult, but believe me, it's really very easy. Sometimes you don't even need to go for paperwork if you understand this concept. Otherwise there is a huge calculation, and what that calculation is, I just show it over here. Now what you have to do, the regular method I just described. 35 students, the total age will be 35 into 16, right? Total age of 21 student is 14, right? Average age of this remaining 14 students we assume to be x, right? So total age will be 14x. Okay, now you have to solve this. Okay, now what you can do is 757272, right? So it's 80 minus 42. Okay, this is the regular method and this is the shortcut, right? Sometimes you'll get the opportunity to cancel out the terms, but sometimes you may not. But in this case, that's no problem at all. Okay. Let's see this question. 16 children are to be divided into two groups A and B of 10 and 6 children. The average percent marks obtained by the children of group A is 75 and the average percent mark of all the 16 children is 76. What is the average percentage marks of children of group B? Again, we'll be using the same concept, that is sum of deviations is equal to 0. Now this is the overall average. Now group A, 10 students, deviation is minus 1, right? Because 75 is 1 less than 76. So total deviation is equal to 10 into minus 1. That is minus 10. That is the total deviation, right? Now in group B, there are 6 students. I assume the deviation to be x per student. So total deviation is 6x, right? So sum of deviation must be 0. So x is equal to 10 by 6, or I can say 5 by 3, or 1 plus 2 by 3. So that is the deviation average, that is a deviation of each student or per student, right? So overall average is 76 and this is the deviation. So total is 77, 2 by 3. That is the average of group B. How simply we can do this problem if we use the deviation concept. Okay. See, if you get the deviation positive, you have to add the same to the overall average. If you get it negative, you have to deduct it from it. Okay, so there's no problem at all, no confusion at all. Now similarly this problem, the average score of a cricketer for 10 matches is 38.9. For this is the overall average. If the average for first 6 matches is 42, the average of last 4 matches. Again we see the deviation. 6 matches, deviation is 42 minus 38.9. See, 42 is more than 38.9, so that is a positive deviation. So it's 3.1, right? Plus I assume the deviation per match is x, so total deviation for 4 matches is 4x, and that's 0, right? So 4x is equal to minus 6 into 3.1. So x is equal to 9.3 by 2, so that is 4.65 negative. Now deviation is negative, right? So what you have to do, you have to deduct this from this. So 38.9 minus 4.65, so it must be 34.25. Okay, so simply you can solve the problem. What is the concept that we have used? Sum of deviations is equal to 0. Gradually after practice, the paperwork can reduce to a great extent. Now this question, the average of 6 numbers is 3.95, the average of 2 of them is 3.4, while the average of other 2 is 3.85. What is the average of remaining 2 numbers? Okay, once again the same concept will be using. So the deviation over here is 3.4, 3.95. That's a negative deviation. So that's 0.55 into 2 numbers, since there are 2 numbers. So 0.55 into 2, so that is 1.1, right? So that's negative deviation. Then other 2, 3.85. So deviation is 0.1 and there are 2 numbers, so it's 0.2. Again it is negative, right? Plus I assume the deviation of the remaining 2 numbers is x, so total deviation 2x, and that is equal to 0. So 2x is equal to minus 1.3, so x is equal to 0.65, and since the deviation is positive, we'll be adding this over here. So 3.95 plus 0.65, right? So that is 4.6. Okay, pretty simple. Now see this, the batting average for 40 innings of a cricket player is 50 runs. That's the average. His highest score exceeds his lowest score by 172 runs. If these 2 innings are excluded, the average of the remaining 38 innings is 48 runs. The highest score of the player is. Okay. Again, this problem can be solved by the deviation method. I'll explain you both the methods, the regular one and the deviation one. So first of all, let's see by the deviation method. I assume the highest score to be x and lowest score to be y, right? So what we do is we find out the deviation, right? Now highest score is x, so deviation of x from 50 is x minus 50. Lowest score is y, so deviation from 50 is y minus 50. And remaining 38 matches, deviation of this 38 innings, yes, so that's minus 2. 50 minus 48, because 48 is less than 50, so deviation is minus 2. So 38 into minus 2, minus 76, and this sum of deviation must be 0. So x plus y is equal to 176, and x minus y is already given to us as 172, right? If we deduct this equation from this, we'll be getting the value of y, so that is 176 minus 172, that is 4 by 2, 2. So y is equal to 2 and x is equal to 174. So highest score is 174, lowest score is 2. Okay? Okay, so simply you can say solve this problem. And the other method is total of 40 innings with each inning 50 run is 40 into 50 is equal to 38 innings 48 runs. So total runs are 38 into 48 plus the inning in which we are getting the highest score, so it's x, and highest score is x and lowest score is y, right? So total is this for 38 matches, each match 48. This is the highest score, this is the lowest score. So x plus y, you'll be able to calculate 40 into 50 minus 38 into 48. So precisely you'll be getting 176, but this calculation will be lengthy, right? And x minus y is already given over here. Okay, so once you get x plus y and then x minus y, the same way you have to proceed. But this calculation will be bit tedious, and this calculation is very easy. Okay, so that's why I suggest you to go by the deviation method. I hope you are getting it. Now see this, the average price of 10 books is rupees 12, while the average price of 8 of these books is 11.75. Of the remaining 2 books, if the price of one book is 60% more than the price of the other, what is the price of each of these 2 books? Now since there is none of these among the options, we can even go by the options. Let's try to eliminate the option. The price of one book, the remaining book we are talking about, each of these 2 books we have been asked the pricing. So remaining 2 books, I assume one to be X, then other must be 60% more than this. 60% is actually 3 by 5, right? So other must be X and 3 by 5 of X. So this is the price of first book and this is the price of the second book. That is 60% more than this. So precisely it is 8 by 5X, right? So what is the ratio of the pricing? That is X by 8 by 5X. So ratio should be 5:8. So among the options, this is the only option that is giving the same ratio, that is 5:8. So it is 10 and 16. So this way you can do this problem without actual solution, just by this method, right? But in case if none of these is there, or suppose you have 2-3 options when their price is 5 and 8, then what you have to do, we just can go by the deviation method, as we have done some problems before this particular one. So average over here is 12. Average price of 8 of these books is 11.75. So deviation is what? 8 books, and deviation of each book is 0.25. So 0.25 into 8 is actually 2, right? The price of remaining 2, I assume one of them is X and other of the next one is Y. So the deviation is X minus 12 plus Y minus 12 is equal to 0. So precisely X plus Y is equal to 22. Okay, I'm sorry, this deviation is actually negative because it is 0.25, so that's less than that. So X plus Y is equal to 26. Now among the options you can check when the sum of the 2 prices must be 26. So that's this option. This way also you can go, right? And still, if you wish to find out the complete answer, X minus Y must be, the price of one is X and other is 8 by 5 of X, so difference is 3 by 5 of X. So that is, or precisely it's not at all required, the one is X and other is 8 by 5 of X. So just put up the value over here, you'll be able to get the value of X. Okay, so this is the simplest method, that is the deviation method. I hope you are getting it. Now this problem, the average of the runs of a cricket player of 10 innings was 32. How many runs must he make in the next inning so as to increase the average of runs by 4? That means what we want the final average to be, 32 plus 4, 36. Now here there are 10 innings and here it is 1 inning. So in all we are talking about 11 innings, right? Now what we can do, we can go by the same method, that the method of deviation. Now in 10 innings the average is 32, right? So what is the deviation? That is minus 4. 36 minus 32, the difference is 4, and since this average is less than this, so it is minus 4. So total deviation is 10 into minus 4, minus 40. Now I assume the runs in the 11th inning is, number of runs is X. X is number of runs, right? That we have to find out. Now what will be the deviation? It will be X minus 36, right? 36 is the final average, so deviation is what? X minus 36, right? This is the deviation of 10 innings and this is the deviation of this 11th inning. Total deviation must be 0, so X is equal to 76, right? What is X? That is number of runs in 11th inning. Okay, and if you don't take this X as the number of runs, then you can directly take the deviation, right? In that case, minus 40 plus X is the deviation and of 11th inning, so it is 0, so X is equal to 40. That is the deviation. Since we are getting the positive value of X, the deviation is positive, so 36 plus 40, 76 is the total run to be made by this cricketer in 11th inning. Okay, if you take deviation, then we'll getting the answer in deviation. If you take the total run, then take deviation over here. Right? Just be clear with the difference between this and this. It is x over here, the total number of runs. So x minus 36 will be the deviation. Here x is the deviation directly. Right? Now we see this problem. A grocer has a sale of rupees 6435, 6927, 6855, 7230 and 6562 for 5 consecutive months. How much sale must he have in the 6th month so that so he gets an average sale of 6500? Once again we can go by the deviation method, right? What we want the average to be 6500. So we see the deviation. In the first case the deviation is negative. So 6435, if the difference between these two is 65 and that is negative, then it is 6927. Here the deviation is positive and it is 427, plus 6855, 6500, deviation is positive, so it is 355. Then 6500, 72300, 7230, so 5, 6, 7, 130. And then 6500 and 6562, it is positive 62. And we've assumed the cell in 6th month is x, so deviation will be x minus 6500 and that is equal to 0. Okay. Now simply solve it. Four plus 5 9, 2 plus 5 7 and 3 10, 0, 4 and 1 5, 6 7 8, 8 and 7 15. 1509 from 6500, so I take it as 4000 and I'm sorry 5000, and I deducted this 9 from here, so it is 5000 minus 9, so 4991. Right? So that's pretty simple. Once again, similar problem. A company produces on an average 4000 items per month for the first 3 months. How many items it must produce on an average per month over the next 9 months to average 4375 items per month over the whole? Okay, what I assume is the average for next 9 months is x, right? X items per month, right? Now again we go by the deviation method. So average is 4375, so here it is 4000, that is negative deviation of minus 375 for 3 months, right? Then deviation, what I assume is this x is to be deviation, not the average cell but the x is deviation, right? So and the deviation per month is x, so total deviation will be 9x, right? And that should be equal to 0, right? Sum of deviations is 0 and x I have taken deviation, be clear about it. So whatever the value of x will be getting, will be adding this to 4375 or will be deducting whatever, right? So here 9x is equal to 3 into 375. So x is equal to 125, right? So that is a positive deviation. So it is 4375 plus 125. So it is 4500 is your answer. Okay, pretty simple. And alternatively, if you take x as the cell items per month, then in that case minus 375 into 3 plus 9 x minus this 4375 is equal to 0. So that calculation will be a bit tedious. That's why I told you not to go this way. Just take directly the deviation, right? So 125 you are getting as a deviation positive, so that you have to add to 4375 to get the actual answer, right? I hope you are getting the deviation method now. Now this problem, in the first 10 overs of a cricket game, the run rate was only 3.2. What should be the run rate in the remaining 40 overs to reach the target of 282 runs? Okay, so in first 10 overs, the total runs scored are 10 into 3.2, 32. Then I assume of each over, now each coming over is like X runs are being made. Okay, so total 40X runs. Right, so 32 in first 10 over, 40x run in next 40 over, right? X runs per over, right? So total 40x runs, and total it is 282. So 282 minus 32 is 250. So x is equal to 25 by 4, so that is 6.25. Okay, pretty simple. Now this question, the average price of 3 items of furniture is 15,000. If their prices are in the ratio 3:5:7, the price of the cheapest item is. So that's pretty simple. You don't even need paper and pen to solve this problem. Average price is 15,000 of 3 articles. That means the total price is 45,000. Right? Now we have to make a breakup of 45,000 as the ratio is 3:5:7. So 3:5:7 is what? 15. Right? 3 plus 5, 8 plus 7, 15. Now this 15 is actually 45,000. If 15 is 45,000, then 1 is 3,000. Right? 15 is 45,000, then that means 1 is 3,000. And it is cheapest item is 3 part or 1 part we can say. So 3 part will be 9,000. Okay, as simple as that. Now of the 4 numbers, the first is twice the second is 1/3 of the third, and the third is 5 times the fourth. The average of the numbers is this. We have to find out the largest of this number. Okay, so I assume the numbers to be A, B, C, D, right? Now first is twice the second. Suppose this is x, the first number is x. It is twice the second, so that means it is x by 2. The second is 1/3 of the third. So this is actually 1/3 of this. So that means it should be 3 times this. Okay, and the third is 5 times the fourth. That means this must be 1/5 of this. Right? I repeat, the first number is x. The first is twice the second, right? So first is x, that means the second is half of the first. So it is half of the first. Then second is 1/3 of the third. Now this number is 1/3 of C. That means C is 3 times B, right? So if B is x by 2, C will be 3 times x by 2. And the third is 5 times the fourth. So C is 5 times the fourth. That means D is 1/5 of C. So 1/5 of 3 by 2x is 3x by 10. Right? Now it becomes simple. We just even simplify the ratio. So I multiply all the terms by 10. So it is 10. It is 5. It is 15, and it is 3. So this is the ratio of the 4 numbers. Okay, now we have to find out the largest of this number. So largest of this number is this part, right? And the average value is given to us as 24.75. Okay, now if average is 24.75, that means total will be 24.75 into 4. That's 99, right? So this. So it is 10 plus 5, 15, and 15. 30 plus 3. 33x is 99. So x is 3. Right? That means the the highest number is 45. Okay? So that's none of these over here. And you can verify also. Highest number, that is this. It is 45. D is, the third is 5 times the fourth. So it must be 9. Then this is 5x. And then this is 10x, right? So total of all these numbers must be 99. Okay, so that you can verify. 45 plus 15, 60, 30, 90, and 9, 99. Okay, I hope you are getting it. Now this problem, again very simple. Of the four numbers whose average is 60, the first is 1/4 of the sum of the last three. The first number is. So four number average is 60, that means total is 240. And suppose the four numbers are A plus B plus C plus D. Right? So sum of these four numbers is 240. Since average is 60, four numbers, so total will be 240. Now first is 1/4 of the sum of the last three. That means A is equal to 1/4 of B plus C plus D, right? So instead of B plus C plus D, we can put 4A. So B plus C plus D is 4A, and this A is 5A. 5A is 240. That means A is equal to 240 by 5, right? So that is the first number, 48. Okay. So friends, in the next session we'll be taking more problems based on averages, and do revise the concept of derivation, because that will really be helpful for you to save time and space in your examination. Okay.